Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Beyond the Summit coverage of ESP Shock Therapy Cup. LD, how are you this beautiful cold morning?
I'm fucking tired, dude.
I second the notion. It was a little hard rolling out of that nice warm bed this morning.
But the power of NA Dota will propel me to awakeness, alert
Yes.
status. If the teams can wake up at 7 a.m., we sure as hell can too.
Absolutely. Today is the winners bracket finals. SADBOYS versus Team Liquid, a showdown of the North American teams, and the loser will get another chance in the losers bracket. So very exciting to see a North American team in the grand finals.
And very excited to see Empire once again maybe making a run in a tournament. This is a team that for a while was considered perhaps the best in Europe. Back leading up to TI3, like 4 or 5 months out last year, back when Funnick was on the roster. Ever since Funnick left, they had some roster issues. Blow Your Brain no longer with the team, but they seem to have found a 5 that works for them. And my only hope is that they stick together because they've had a lot of roster changes. And, you know, they're going to have their ups and their downs, but, well, they've been having ups lately.
And, of course, Empire will be facing off against the loser of this series for the losers bracket finals as our second best of 3 today. And then all that's left is the grand finals, that one last best of 5 to see who will be taking home the vast majority of that grand prize.
Yeah, it's a 6-day event. $10,000 cup for 6 days. Not too shabby.
Not at all. So
if you win.
If you win.
If you lose, it's pretty shabby.
So our first game is underway between Liquid and the Arizona Iced Out Boys as they're tagged up. Sad boys in our heart. Let's go ahead and take a look at the draft. So, LD, game 1 of 3. It's been a little while since we've seen these teams. They were day 1, day 2, and then we got to trek through the losers bracket. So, any predictions coming into this series?
I think I want to say Liquid had a slightly easier road here. Let me actually bring up the bracket real quickly before I turn out to have remembered something wrong. But yeah, Liquid played Fnatic and Empire. Okay, no, I'll say equally hard road. Fnatic was looking pretty weak in this tournament, so even though they're a big name, they did not perform like one. But then they had to play Empire in that 2-1 victory. Both of their wins were convincing. The one loss was also a convincing loss, but hey, Empire's your third-place team. They've looked strong in the tournament as well. Overall, I think Liquid is... I think SADBOYS still had a more impressive result, 2-0ing Speed Gaming and doing it in pretty convincing fashion. So I'd say SADBOYS come in a little bit stronger, but it's very different when two North American teams play each other because North America is a pretty small pro community compared to like Europe or China. Or even Southeast Asia. There's just not that many top players. They all know each other. They all talk a lot. They all watch each other's games, and they pretty much know each other inside and out. So expect to see a lot of draft shenanigans. We may see things that look weird to us because we haven't watched their scrims, but will definitely make a lot of sense to the players. And, I mean, there are already some unusual things in this draft.
Yeah, Lion in particular is that third ban from Liquid, and even a Rasta-Ursa combination banned out by SADBOYS with their third and fourth bans. Arizona Ice Boys did go ahead and pick Timbersaw first. That opened up for a first pick Elder Titan and a second pick Enchantress from Liquid. And then, of course, there's that Naga Siren for the SADBOYS. Elder Titan's a hero we talked about a little bit yesterday and possibly even the day before, as he's sort of fallen out of flavor, but apparently not in North America.
Yeah, there's two interesting picks for me, the Titan as well as the Naga Siren. So I'll talk about the Titan first since you brought him up first. When Elder Titan first came out in Dota 2, we saw Bulba as probably the single pro that used him most effectively in the first few weeks. He was the player that was having the most success with the hero. He always ran Astral Spirit Max, Natural Order Max, skipped Stomp. A lot of the Chinese players started off taking the Stomp early, running it as like kind of a utility offlaner, but well, it was so strong that poor Bulba got Elder Titan nerfed, so he's not quite the same solo mid that he used to be. But generally, Liquid does run him solo mid. He's still strong, and the aura is still ridiculous. It's just you can't one-shot the range creep every time you drop Astral Spirit, so the lane doesn't push as hard.
Poor Elder Titan. He can't one-shot the creeps anymore.
No, he can't one-shot the range creep. See, what would happen is you drop the Spirit, and when you've got max aura and max Spirit, it one-shots the range creep. So the lane pushes super hard. Because how many nukes one-shot range creeps?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Not very many.
That's ridiculous.
Doesn't do it anymore. Can still push pretty hard, though, and is a huge teamfight presence. But on the other side, we've got what's probably going to be like that Miracle-style Naga. This is unlikely to be a support Naga. SADBOYS have been running this. They did it against eHug. Arteezy played like 6 billion games of it on his personal stream. Naga Siren solo mid, Russia Radiance, and once you get that, let the rat commence. So
Yeah.
the 2 ways to deal with that. One is to just try to out late game them, but very difficult against Naga Siren with Radiance. And the other way, which I think is more effective, is apply pressure before the Naga gets farmed.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually talking to our stats man, shout out to K-Pop-tosis, a little bit about Naga Siren, and he was bold enough to say that a Naga Siren, once she has Radiance, farms faster than any other hero, because she can just sit in all 3 lanes with those illusions, and of course burn down some creeps. So she can really take off the pen. It's all about that timing on the Radiance with Naga. So if you can keep her down early, you can slow down some of that farm, but once that big dirty item comes out, it gets very sticky pretty quick.
Liquid do have Enchantress, and you can enchant illusions, so that's kind of nice. I mean, they don't last forever, so but they can get the Radiance on their side for short little bursts. So in spite of that, the Arizona Iced Out Boys not deterred at all by the Enchantress pick. They still went for the Naga. They also banned Ursa, and this is interesting because 2 or 3 days ago, we saw Liquid running Death Prophet Ursa, and I felt like the Ursa could have been any other hero, but when they're on the Dire side, they can roach really easily. Enchantress can tank it with Untouchable, and they could actually level 1 Roche, I would say, pretty easily with Ursa Enchantress. So Enchantress can tank, Ursa just kills him. So Ursa ban, also Shadow Shaman ban. I guess Liquid's been doing a lot of cheesy Roche strats lately. Also does push pretty hard, and at the same time, the one nice thing about Carry Naga is she's better at dealing with pushes than other carries because of the Song of the Siren and Riptide. So send in your illusions, Riptide the wave, and then if you ever get into a sticky situation, you just Song and can TP out.
Yeah, she's certainly one of the more difficult heroes to push into. And speaking of push, Team Liquid will grab a Dragon Knight with their 4th pick to go with that Venomancer and Enchantress. So plenty of pushing power on their team. Not the scariest pushing lineup, but still all of them synergize well with that strategy. And they should be able to knock down towers pretty easily, as well as defend their towers pretty well. Earth Splitter, as well as that massive Plague Wards that Venomancer will undoubtedly put down, can make pushing for the Arizona Ice Boys a little bit difficult as well. Both teams very good at defending pushes here in this match.
Yeah, Liquid should be the aggressors in this one as they go Dragon Knight. So Dragon Knight, Enchantress, Veno, the makings of a heavy 5-man push composition. They could run an offlane Elder Titan, and it seems more likely now. If they want to do that, or they can go and run him safe lane, but he looks like a side lane solo now, which means maybe Bulba doesn't play it. Maybe they put somebody else on Dragon Knight mid and Bulba takes it to the side lane. But the other thing to keep in mind is that they could go aggressive tri-lane. Enchantress Veno +1, very strong early.
Yeah.
They can tri-lane with a Pugna. He's still in the pool. Death Prophet is a pretty weak offensive tri-lane carry, I would say. There's also Luna. Oh, no, sorry, Luna got banned. So, I think those are the main ones. Gyro is also an option if they want to have a little more late game. But we'll just have to see how committed they are. Pugna's pretty good against Timbersaw.
Ooh.
He's not so good against Doom, though.
Yeah, so there you go. 4th pick for the Arizona Ice Boys. They will secure themselves a Doombringer. I'm curious exactly how they're going to set up these lanes. We're assuming that Naga will be mid, probably an off-lane Timbersaw. So just a try lane with Doom, Crystal Maiden, whichever support they choose to throw into the mix with this final pick. Let's see what Team Liquid bans out here. What pairs well with Doom and Crystal Maiden?
They need a
support of sorts.
Yeah. Someone who has some AoE, ideally. Shadow Demon is pretty good with Naga. And has decent AoE from the Shadow Poison. Dazzle probably would have been even better.
Yeah.
For, like, having Timbersaw with Dazzle is... He gets off another Whirling Blade, another Chakram, another Timber Chain, and even that's like another 600, 800 damage, pure damage, potentially.
And it even pairs nicely with Naga in the early stages if there's a dual lane mid, perhaps, or if Dazzle roams the minus armor from Riptide. Synergizes with that Poison Touch just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if they had gone Dazzle, they can also do that Naga Dazzle laning combo where you mirror image and then heal bomb the illusions.
Oh, it's so dirty.
I just expect a solo mid Naga, so I'll be pretty surprised if we don't see it.
And a Juggernaut final ban from the SADBOYS makes some sense here. We've talked about how he synergizes well with pushing strategies, most notably because of that healing ward, but Blade Fury does give him a little bit of an edge over other carries in that early laning stage, so I think a smart choice from SADBOYS. And we'll see what Liquid want to grab. They don't have too much bonus time left, but they will need either a carry or a position 1 of some sort. I think Pugna has got to be a tempting pick, as you mentioned, LD, if they want to go for more of a pushing strat. And no, they'll go for the Death Prophet, so not quite as worried about the laning phase, but looking for a more staple team fighter.
Yeah, I guess Lone Druid was an option as well. He's pretty good against Doom, tanky, and can lane 1v1 against Timbersaw. And Elder Titan tri-lanes are not terrible, so they could have run like a safe lane Lone Druid, but we just don't see that hero much nowadays. And for Liquid, this means a defensive tri-lane. We should see Death Prophet safe lane, Dragon Knight mid, Elder Titan off lane, and then Enchantress Venno roaming, maybe starting off with the Elder Titan, but we'll have to see where they go. Most likely the hero they want to apply pressure to is the Naga. If they've done their homework, and I'm sure Bulba has, because him and Arteezy are bros. They talk a lot. He invented Arteezy, so he likes to keep tabs on his innovations, but they should realize if they leave this Naga alone for too long, it's going to be tough. Yeah,
and with that pushing lineup, I think Liquid are pretty well aware of that timer they've set for themselves here, as they'll have to knock down some towers, do some crippling damage. Usually that 30-minute mark is a pretty good benchmark, but of course it does depend on how this game unfolds. It looks like regular Beyond the Summit is done. Are we going to be switching streams, LD? Or are we going to wait for game 1 to commence and then switch over?
I will see once Lysander goes offline. We'll talk to him. But in the meantime, the SADBOYS do go Bane, so it is in fact the Arteezy carry Naga.
Oh boy.
One of probably the most hyped player from his respective region in North America. Can he match up with the likes of Miracle, the most hyped player from his region, as far as young players go anyway, from Southeast Asia? I gotta say, Arteezy's looked pretty damn impressive on his stream. So and he also looked good in the matches versus eHug. But time to play the big boys, Arteezy. Liquid are waiting.
No, I do like that Arteezy has a different style, though. I love that he tries different heroes, takes them mid, and he's successful.
Well, he kind of shamelessly stole this one from Loda/Miracle, but he's really good about just training the shit out of one hero. Like he'll play like 50 games on Naga, 100 games on Naga, whatever it takes.
Anyone who's bold enough to go Dazzle solo mid has my respect, LD.
That's true. I guess it's not fair to say he doesn't ever innovate, but in this particular case, at least, he was not the one who invented it.
Fair enough, my friend. So game 1, guys, again, this is a best-of-3 series. This is the winner's bracket finals. Loser will get knocked down to the loser's bracket to face off against Team Empire for elimination in another best-of-3. 2 best-of-3s coming up today. So a lot of Dota after game 1.
It really is. It's a lot of Dota. It's
a good amount of
It's
Dota.
all good matches, too. I feel like any of these 3 teams could be eliminated. I think they're all very evenly matched. Yeah. Yesterday, I felt like Empire were the clear favorites on speed. I don't really have a clear favorite today. If I had to pick 2, I would probably say, I think SADBOYS look a little bit stronger right now, but a lot of that's they seem like whenever you have Arteezy on your team, it's very momentum dependent. So if they have a bad start, it could go poorly for them. So I'd say SADBOYS Liquid, but only a slight edge as to who gets into the grand finals, which will not be tomorrow. They're being rescheduled.
Yes, absolutely. And SADBOYS have still really yet to prove themselves. They're still a very new team on the competitive scene. Though they've been performing well, still have not played too many matches, so it is a little bit hard to guess exactly where their skill level is right now, because we just don't have a large sample to work with. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams. As it appears we know where the SADBOYS are going to lane. We're going to have Universe headed up top on a solo Timbersaw. In the mid, it will be none other than Arteezy playing on this Naga Siren. Down bottom, it will be a tri-lane PPD playing on the Crystal Maiden, Zai on the Bane, and of course Fear on the hard farming Doom.
And on the side of Team Liquid, we've got probably the longest running North American team at this point. That still has some familiar faces. At this point, SADBOYS has just Fear since when they started, but Liquid, it's been TC and Fluff together for ages, and Bulba with them for a long time as well. And Wait2, he's one of the new additions. He's playing that support Venomancer in the top lane. We have TC on the Dragon Knight. Solo mid, it will be Bulba on the Death Prophet. So they get the range versus melee matchup mid. We have Fluff versus playing the Enchantress, and that does put Quakefit into offlane Elder Titan. So the main thing Liquid did, which is a little bit less expected, I guess, is running the Death Prophet solo mid. And SADBOYS have good gankers, too. They have Crystal Maiden and they have Bane. So this is a hero that they could look to punish fairly early on. And I imagine Liquid, aware of that, may look to put some pressure of their own on the mid lane.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems with Death Prophet as a solo mid lane hero, and one of the reasons she's not picked up quite as much as folks thought she would be following the buffs in 6.79 is because she's just so susceptible to those ganks. A hero with no real escape mechanism, of course, no disables, even though she has high damage output. If she gets ganked early and gets slowed down, sometimes that recovery isn't quite there. Though, we can't forget, last time we saw Bulba on Death Prophet, that was that Ultra Kill game that just got out of control. So the inverse can certainly happen, where Death Prophet can spiral out of control.
Yeah, the main thing with Liquid is they seem to really prefer keeping players in their like customary roles. When they had Korok, I remember when they announced that roster with Korok, Bulba, and TC as their 3 cores, they were really harping on how versatile they could be and like how they were excited that anyone could play any lane and any role out of those 3. Sure, they had their tendencies, but anything was possible. But nowadays, it seems like they've gone away from that, and they just say, you know what, Bulba's our solo mid, our off lane's Koikfa, and our safe lane's TC, and we're almost never going to change that, even if maybe the lanes are potentially weaker or at least more gankable. But Death Prophet's a good mid. It just has to be careful. By the way, Fluff already hit level 3, and he's got 2 Centaurs, and he's going top. This looks like it might be First Blood.
Universe could be in some trouble. He is sitting level 2, did get that point in
it
Timber
took too
Chain,
long.
but yeah, not going to find the opening he was looking for. One of those Centaurs will die to the grips of time. Oh, what a sad fate for that Centaur. And Universe will survive. Illusion Rune here at the 2-minute mark will spawn in the top position and goes the way of Bulba on the Death Prophet. He does have the boots up already, and of course a full bottle now that he's got the Illusion Rune. Arteezy, pretty standard opener here. Did go Quelling Blade with a couple of GG branches. Does have his boots on the way, as well as his bottle on that courier.
Just for fun's sake, TC has 13 denies. Oh, bottom lane, hold that thought. Koikfa in a lot of trouble.
He's in big trouble. That Frostbite will slow him down quite a bit. Fear will chase him down with Scorched Earth, and Zai finishes him off. Easy First Blood, LD.
Yeah, so obviously a pretty significant win there because Fluff also failed on his gank, so he wasted time that he could have been jungling, and he hit level 3 at like a little over 1 minute, 1.5 minutes perhaps. So he slowed himself down. They get a First Blood. And now that they've pretty much secured the Dooms relatively easily, and he's got phase boots, he doesn't need a whole lot of help, they could look to gank mid soon.
Yep.
Might want to get level 3 on Bane first, but at that point, Bulba is quite killable.
Yeah. And like you said, now that Fear is able to just right-click those phase boots, Quickfoot's going to be having a hard time. Even in just a solo scenario, Fear should be able to harass him out of lane. And he still has 2 supports nearby. With that said, though, PPD will start to rotate towards the mid lane, perhaps just looking for the 4-minute rune. And if he finds something aggressive, well, possibly could set up a kill onto Bulba. And that rune will spawn top, a regeneration, as it looks like Bulba is headed that way.
Yeah, so if you keep an eye on Arteezy's Naga throughout the match, what you'll notice is that he does a really good job of stacking and farming the camps constantly. He normally oh, no, top lane we're okay, just getting harassed. And yeah, he normally starts with the medium camp early on. He'll bottle crow constantly. You'll see him go farm the medium camp, then stack the big camp, and especially if he's under pressure, but, well, bottom lane, Koikfa, once again, in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Nightmare setup into War Stomp, into Frostbite. There's just too much damage. Elder Titan takes another spill. That makes it 2-0 here. Sad Boys picking up an early lead.
Yeah, this is really the key thing with the Naga Siren solo mid is, especially on Radiant side, you can abuse the jungle a lot. So that mid camp there early on. But when you're off jungling, you're not defending your tower, and Bulba is punishing that.
He's off to an early start with that Exorcism right away. Hits level 6 and starts chipping at this tower. He does force out the glyph from Sad Boys, so that does buy them some time during this first ultimate. But still, the tower taking more than half health as Fluff does rotate in on the Enchantress.
I really like this from Bulba. They know how Arteezy plays the solo mid Naga, and that's, you know, just kind of stacking the camps. It's basically like you're running your hard carry mid. Sure, Naga has some utility, but she just wants to farm and work towards the Radiance. So while she's doing that, she's rarely in lane, and even when she is, the illusions can easily be killed off if she tries to, like, pull the creep aggro with them. So just keeping the pressure on the lane and punishing Arteezy for trying to farm the woods while Death Prophet's in the lane.
Yep, Doom is now hit level 6, which is always a big benchmark. Of course, the ulti is online. Unfortunately, the mana pool not quite there. That War Stomp, not the most mana efficient of abilities, though I'm sure once he has the mana pool, they will be looking for another kill on Koikva. Fear might even be able to do it himself, though. Supports will be inbound. Kind of curious to see what build Fear is going to go for here. Of course, he is leveling Devour primarily, but will he go for that Hand of Midas?
Fear likes Midas traditionally, although we haven't seen it as much lately from him. But he was notorious back in the old EG when Demon was playing for them for just AFK farming Dota. Part of that was the version and just the metagame, but a lot of that was Fear likes to farm. I've seen quite a few Midas games from him in his day, but no, maybe he's reformed his ways. He's looks like he's going early mech.
All right, well, there is a smoke in the Radiant jungle from PPD and Zai as they rotate through the mid lane. Looks like they may have their sights set on Bola, or no, just going to rotate up possibly to the top lane.
He does have ult now, and if you look at SADBOYS' vision, they don't know where Enchantress is. They have spotted the Veno top, though. But now they've seen the Enchantress, so... Oh, they're going to find the Death Prophet, though. Poor Bulba. This could be bad timing for him.
Oh, no.
He doesn't... These two can't really kill him quickly, though. They need Arteezy here.
And, yeah, they see him. They've got that high ground advantage. Arteezy is rotating his way in. There's the Nightmare set up onto Bulba, just to buy themselves some time. Now Arteezy's joining the battle. He is level 7, does have that Naga ulti, and they won't need it. Riptide will do plenty of damage, the Ensnare to secure the kill, and Arteezy walks away with the last hit. SADBOYS off to a good start.
Suddenly 2k gold. The one thing is he doesn't have a really stacked big camp, which often you'll see the supports when you run carry Naga will just stack some of the camps for you, but Arteezy can do that with his illusions, and hey, he gets a kill on the enemy solo. He'll be happy about that. Best part is they kill Death Prophet when Liquid's trying to push another side of the map, so now SADBOYS, maybe they don't fully defend top, they just stall here and split push mid and bottom.
Liquid do have a nice array of creeps. That Wild Wing Ripper, as always, synergizes well with push. The Toughness Aura, as well as that Tornado, does help clear up the creep wave. The tower will fall. Deny, not going to be successful. TC in big trouble, though. Frostbite to start it off. Fear ports in. That's a Doom ulti for good measure, and they secure the kill on the Dragon Knight. Now Wave 2 is setting their sights. Venomancer in a bit of trouble. Universe is out of mana, but it doesn't matter. The Scorched Earth is just too much. Fear is too speedy, and they chase him down. Make it 5-0 LD, though they have lost their second tower as they knock down the Tier 1 in the mid.
Yeah, when the enemy team is the better mid-game 5-man, you better have a good laning stage, and boy, is SADBOYS ever having a good one. 5 kills, free farm on their Doom, free farm on their solo mid Naga, and really this is like this is like watching a game with an anti-mage with a Battle Fury on steroids, because... we saw Eternal Envy was skipping the creeps in that one match the other day where he kept on basically just going between enemy tier 2 and tier 3. You can do that with Naga with your illusions in multiple lanes and be much safer, because if they gank you, you always have Psalm and TP out, pretty much. So, yeah, clock's ticking for Liquid. Even if they are stronger in the 5-mans, they won't get to fight 5-man once Radiance is up, unless Arteezy's making mistakes, so... this early lead, very dangerous.
Yeah, Liquid aren't wasting any time, though. Again, we saw the 2 towers they knocked down. They're now pressuring bottom. Fear is up top, chipping away at the Tier 1 tower from on the Liquid side of the map. Glyph has already been popped, though it looks like Liquid will be happy to trade their own Tier 1 for this bottom tower.
And, yeah, that's another tower. Trading towers is good. Naga, 600 gold to go for Radiance. They didn't gank him much early, but Naga's, unlike Death Prophet, Naga's not an easy gank.
600 for the Relic.
Yeah, for the Relic.
For the Relic.
But that's the hard part. Once you get the Relic, it
does make last hitting a little easier when you get to double your damage.
Yeah, and it's also just much easier to save for is the other thing.
That's true. That's true. Fair enough.
So, the clock's, well, like I said, the clock's ticking. But Liquid, they still have a window here to take some towers. 10 minutes in, they've taken 2 Tier 1s. And taking the Tier 1 bottom does open the way to Roche, and with Death Prophet, Veno, and Enchantress, you can take Roche once the ult cools down here, so we're going to see a TPN. Doom's coming.
2 TPs, Fear in the front lines, throws the ultimate on Fluff straight away. Enchantress will be in big trouble.
Not sure why he doomed Enchantress. She had the heal already going, but Fluff's not taking any damage here. That was not a good doom.
If you can get the attendants out first, that really negates the efforts of Doom. Small misplay from Fear, but they do hold the tower. So essentially they got what they came for, just not as profitable as they had hoped.
Yeah, they hold the tower, and they can... and Arteezy is still farming pretty well. He did have to run bottom, but with Death Prophet ult down and Doom down, both teams are a bit weakened right now. We'll see probably just passive farming at this point.
Yep.
And he's got Relic, man. This is a very fast Relic.
Yeah.
I'd say about standard for Arteezy, maybe a little bit faster than average. If he's having a worse game, you'll see it around like 12, 13 minutes. But it's pretty rare for the Radiance not to be done by like 16 minutes at the latest, 17 minutes perhaps.
Yeah.
And if he's having a good game, you know, it can be like 14.
Yeah, a good benchmark is earlier than 15 minutes is you're in good speed territory, and you've got a nice early relic. So SADBOYS, no doubt, will be on the slightly more defensive posture here as they try and keep their towers alive and just open up space for Arteezy. Liquid, unfortunately, they're sort of slaves to that Exorcism cooldown. If Death Prophet has their ult, they can group up and take fights. If they don't have Exorcism, well, that notion becomes a little more difficult.
It's like the Shadow Shaman wards, except not as bad because Death Prophet scales a lot better late game. So with Shadow Shaman wards, if you screw them up early, then you're also running a solo mid who doesn't do that much later on. But yeah, with Death Prophet, it's still pretty bad because how's she going to deal with Naga split pushing? She can apply a lot of pressure in one lane, but Arteezy will just creep skip, and there's pretty much nothing Liquid can do about it. They don't have a Storm or a Lifestealer, a Puck, anything that's particularly good at ganking Naga. Or ganking any split pusher, for that matter.
In the mid lane, it looks like they want to set up a kill onto Bulba. Zaya's on the high ground in the jungle with a Fiend's Grip ready and waiting. And they will zone out Bulba as Arteezy pressures this tower. Good game sense from Bulba, recognizing that somebody could be nearby and that Bane is missing. He will stay back, not giving Zaya the opening that he's looking for, though. It very well may cost him his tower. Down to about 150 HP. Arteezy should be able to take it out with one more push.
Yeah, another TP down bottom. Just Bulba defending. They're grouping up as 4, but grouping up without your best pusher is kind of unorthodox. So Bulba wants to rotate, but as soon as he does, the tower's going to fall mid.
And he certainly doesn't want to hand it over to Arteezy. Will use the double damage rune to secure a deny.
That's big. That was the Radiance Gold if Arteezy gets the last hit.
Yeah, a nice play by Bulba, and meanwhile the rest of his team is pressuring this bottom tier 1. TC will be in some trouble. In comes Universe. Way 2 taking a lot of damage. The Doom ulti comes out on the Dragon Knight, and he will try and fly away as Bulba joins the battle. Exorcism up, double damage rune still on. PPD in trouble. He'll actually be the first to fall, though they secure a kill on the Venomancer and the Dragon Knight. Now Zai the one in some trouble, and they will secure that kill. It's a 3 for 2, but the fight's not over quite yet. Universe, very low, has enough mana for one last Timber Chain. Now Fear, no cooldowns available, has already popped the mech, but he's just too tanky, too darn fast, and I'll let him walk back to safety.
They still got 3, even though Naga wasn't there. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was Bulba joined the fight late because he was trying to defend mid. Sure, he gets the tower deny, but Arteezy just started free farming mid as soon as he left. He was actually creep skipping over here behind the tier 2, and now he's got Radiance Gold. So.
Yep. So we're looking at a 14-minute Radiance. There's a Hand of Midas coming out from the Elder Titan, of course, being played by Koikba. Mech is up on both sides. Fluff has been able to grab his on the Enchantress. Doom has had his for quite some while, and then he did actually transition into a Vanguard. So Doom, recognizing he's going to be the one in the front lines, just wants to up that HP buffer a little bit and tank up in this mid-game.
Doom's just here to... Sure, he'll be useful later, but he's mainly here to tide them over until this Naga gets 6 slotted. Him and the Timber Saw. So... Universe farming pretty well and working towards a Bloodstone. And yeah, we're just going to see Radiant Stoda now. Just keep an eye on those illusions. We'll see one heading, like 2 or 3 heading to the enemy jungle. Or sorry, probably 2 heading to the enemy jungle, 1 staying around mid, and then the main hero can be off in his own woods. Now, they can look to enchant them, but it's not a full solution. As we see, they... yeah, they're just struggling to deal with these illusions.
Naga illusions, and they will continue to scale as Naga gets more items. So yeah, those illusions get pretty scary. Just against the supports later on, it can become very difficult as they start to fall off a little bit, and Naga continues to grow in strength. Net worth looking good for SADBOYS. Doom still leading the way with flying colors around 8.5k, and Naga nipping at his heels, sitting around 7,000. Unfortunately for Liquid, their net worth leader is Bulba, and he's only at about 6k, so already a large deficit. Not the biggest goal difference, but a lot of that coming from the towers that Liquid have knocked down, which, as always, will equalize as SADBOYS grab some more towers of their own.
Yeah, and with Radiance Naga, you'll have a much easier time getting towers. So this is where Liquid's lineup is weaker. They're not a great flash farming lineup. They're good with Dragon Knight. They're decent with Feno as a support. But having a solo mid like Death Prophet, you compare that to, say, a Shadow Fiend, and it's just not even a discussion. He just doesn't farm that quickly. Death Prophet, great early game pusher, but Liquid, that first failed smoke gank, just the laning stage not working out the best, and now they're out of their comfort zone. They're not out of the game, but it's basically SADBOYS who dictate the tempo, and it's up to Liquid to force a mistake or find a way back into it. If it just goes on like this for 10, 15 minutes, this Naga will have 2 or 3 more items.
Yeah. They just can't farm as quickly. How do you feel about this Hand of Midas coming out on Koikva, on the Elder Titan? Obviously, it's a bit of a recovery Midas as he was in the offlane. He has about 1,400 in the bank, but is that a worthy pickup here in a game like this?
Well, as soon as the Radiance comes out, it's like, basically, you know you're not ending the game anytime soon, unless Arteezy decides to feed and go full 322. So, yeah, I think it's actually not that bad. They're not gonna be able to 5-man right now. If they do, they're just gonna get split pushed to death by Arteezy. So they must have to go for late game, which hey, Midas is good for.
Midas is good for late game, though.
They still don't want to be in this position, but I think considering the position they're in, it's not bad.
Yeah, and here we see Arteezy just clearing out neutrals, killing them rather quickly, and clearing out these lanes as well. This is one dirty strategy, LD. This makes me want to queue up a couple Naga games after we're done casting today.
A couple. Try like 200, 300.
200 before you have the micro skills for this strategy?
I have not checked Arteezy's Dota buff profile, but I imagine it's at least several hundred solo mid Naga games. Envy was doing it for a while, but he lacks the dedication to Naga that Arteezy has shown.
Dedication, hard work.
Yeah, because he started queuing anti-mage games. Said, screw this Naga stuff.
Screw this Naga stuff. I'm going with the traditional carry. Hashtag Battle Fury.
Yep, hashtag indeed. And Bloodstone coming soon for Universe. The Gold Grass just, it's staying stable for now, but like you said, there's a significant tower advantage for...
It's actually not as
it's only
significant
one
as I thought.
tower.
It's only one, and one of them was denied, so...
Yeah, it's not that bad, actually.
I thought Liquid had knocked down another tier 2, but...
The main difference
wishful
is that the
thinking.
supports on Liquid do farm quite a bit better in the mid-game. Enchantress, Veno farm a lot more than Bane, especially, and Crystal Bane to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
But a lot of the farm gets concentrated in these supports, and we'll have to see if that works out. So the Naga build is generally straight Boots of Travel, and then...
Koikva, he's in trouble. Fear, going to use the Doom ultimate, Scorched Earth to try and chase him down, but Fear maybe jumping the gun a little bit, won't pursue, and Koikva will survive.
These Dooms have been not very effective this game.
Lackluster.
Yeah, and that's not like they're about to have a huge team fight, but whenever Liquid no Doom's down, that's a great time for them to try and force a fight. So
Yeah.
the problem is, if Arteezy's not dead, good luck forcing it. Like, Illusion's backstabbing the tower, Illusion's farming the jungle. This guy is all over the place. So after Boots of Travel, normally what you'll see is Manta style next, Yasha into Manta, and then you go Diffusal Blade, and then generally Heart. Sometimes we'll go Heart first and then Diffusal Blade. Actually, I think he's been going more Heart first, but either way, as the Illusions get stronger, the Enchanted ones will as well. So that's something to keep in mind. Just look at, like, they see him too, right? They have this Observer Ward here. They know what Arteezy's up to, but their lineup's not good at ganking, man. They don't have a Storm. They don't have a Puck. They don't have a Prophet.
Yeah.
A Lifestealer.
Oh.
And Way 2 does go down bottom. I was not even paying attention, but
I was looking at the mirror images.
He's been off in Lala. He's just been split pushing and farming bottom. Because Liquid, they pretty much know they just have to take this late.
That was a big gamble from that Venomancer. If you look at the vision of Liquid, absolutely nothing. And he was sitting right around here, way past the river. That is dangerous territory to be farming in as just a humble Venomancer.
It's like what we saw from AUI on his Visage. It's like, if I die, no huge deal, because I'm just a support and I'm applying pressure to the lanes.
Right. Up top, Koikva in a bit of trouble. Will use the Echo Slam.
That just like barely hit him. I didn't think it was going to connect.
Fear may be in some trouble. The Earth Splitter will be off the mark. There's
get
the
out.
Naga Siren ulti. Fear, you better head for the hills, my friend. And he will make it out. The Naga Siren ult will be successful in its endeavors to keep Doom alive.
And now, while Liquid are somewhat burning to death, we see the sad boys just split pushing. Bottom lane, they're pushing. Too bad it's Crystal Maiden and a Timbersaw, but they're pushing
nonetheless. Yeah.
Jinx.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
So, a slow mid-game here, 9-2 at the 20-minute mark. Sad Boys continuing their streak of dominance. We see that gold graph finally starting to swing in their favor, and I think what would be more expected given this Naga farm, right around a 3,500 gold lead, 2,000 experience lead or so. Still not insurmountable. Liquid's still in this game, but they need to make something happen. They need to find some way to take a team fight, pick someone off, knock down a tower. I think this static farming is just going to continue to work against them. And as I say that, perhaps we'll see an engage down here at this bottom tier 2 tower. They know Bulba's ult is on cooldown. Conversely, they know Arteezy's ult is on cooldown, so a good time to fight from both perspectives. They will pursue Arteezy, but support will be inbound. And possibly looking for a turn here. Liquid with 4, Sad Boys only with 3. They won't take the fight.
Yeah, they'll back off, and even without Nagasong, Liquid just aren't a good ganking lineup.
Yeah.
There's just not long-range initiation. Now, maybe when they force SADBOYS back, they can take Roche. And they do have Enchantress to tank it, but Song's off cooldown in 30 seconds. I'm not sure if... They don't have Death Prophet. It might take them over 30 seconds to kill this Roche, so potentially the SADBOYS can jack it.
This is a little bit risky. Not a little bit. This is rather risky. They've got 3 heroes that are about at half health. Bulba's ult is coming up reasonably soon. Bulba did also pick up a Yule's Scepter of Divinity. We didn't mention that, but a core item on Death Prophet. There's the Exorcism coming out. SADBOYS are posturing around the pit. Looks like they do want to make a contest. Roche falling very quickly. Universe on the high ground. He will hop over the pit. A lot of heroes taking some damage, but Liquid do finish Roche. Dragonite, the one to grab the Aegis. Can they secure these kills? Zai in the front lines. He'll be the first to fall. Now SADBOYS on the back foot. TC does have a BKB up. He's popped it. And maybe grabbing a kill on PPD. He will port out to safety. So it's successful for Liquid.
Yeah, Naga songed there, but TC had already BKB'd. Grabs the Aegis, and good play by him. If he had waited just a second longer, that song would have caught him, and we probably would have seen SADBOYS jack it. So,
yeah,
well done. Now, what do they do with the Aegis? That's really the main question. Getting Aegis is good for Liquid, and it keeps the gold pretty close for now, but Arteezy continues to farm. He has not even been touched this game. 12k net worth and 12k on the Doom. Yeah, he's getting big.
He sure is. Does have that Yasha now, so slithering around a little bit more quickly. 462 movement speed between the Yasha and the Boots of Travel. That is a speedy Naga, LD.
Yeah, very fast, and once she gets Manta, very hard to kill as well, but
yeah,
already pretty damn difficult.
Yeah, and when you have Manta and the mirror images, that's sort of a double cleanse you get, as well as that small state of invulnerability as you're channeling your illusions.
Yeah, it means Death Prophet Silence won't be able to kind of cancel a mirror image or prevent a song, so it's just a good split pushy item.
Yep. And up top, maybe a little engage brewing here, as Liquid do have troops inbound. Perhaps looking for an opportunity to engage on Arteezy. No ultimate, and he is low on mana. So if they could catch him, this would be a good opening. Unfortunately, they won't find him. Fear's going to go in from the backside. Koikva will take the Doom ultimate. Scorched Earth to try and chase him down. Met comes out, and it might be enough to keep Koikva alive. Nope, won't be enough. Naga will finish him down as he burns. The rest of the fight will transpire in favor of SADBOYS. They pick up kills on Elder Titan and Enchantress. They find a kill on the Naga, but at what cost? 4 of their heroes, and it could be 5. TC on the run. He does have the Aegis, still has a BKB as well. SADBOYS will pursue. Chakram to slow him down. TC won't waste the BKB before the Aegis gets popped. He does have Dragon Form as well.
Buyback on Elder Titan, but what can he actually do? There is no Doom here. There's still a mech available, though.
And Nightmare will get thrown on Koikva. Gets taken off. Now TC with the BKB. Elder Dragon Form on. Will try and chase down Fear. Almost just a wasted BKB charge. They do get the Dragon Tail onto Fear, but he's just too damn tanky. There's the Earth Splitter. Timbersaw comes back in. Now TC and Koikva in big trouble. Fluff joins the battle. Will use the mech as well as the Nature's Intendants. That helps them out quite a bit. A lot of AoE damage coming out from Timbersaw. Unfortunately, won't have enough to secure the kill. Now Fear the one on the back foot. Impetus enough to finish him off. Fluff walks away. 1 kill richer. Zai and Universe not out of the clear quite yet. The slows from Veno doing some quick work on that Timbersaw. He'll take a spill. Zai possibly in trouble. Takes the Dragon Tail. No, they turn it around on the Dragonite. Both sides going all in with these team fights.
Oh boy, there's your song.
No.
He's gonna get at least 1 more. Koikva, maybe more than that. He's also got a net.
And Koikva in big trouble. Bulba will fall as well. No, the Death Prophet just too speedy. The burn coming down. There's the Yules on the illusion. That will be enough to ensure his survival. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Way2 not out of the clear quite yet. The ward comes down on the high ground. It's not big enough to block the ramp. A noble effort, but it's just not enough. SADBOYS come out the victors by a huge margin, now 17-6.
So that was basically 2 team wipes. I think Bulba barely lived in that second fight, but that's not good. SADBOYS, really high burst damage, and it's just so hard to team fight against Doom in general. We've seen this the past few days from Empire, and SADBOYS showing another team that can use Doom effectively in the fights. So once one hero's down, it's a 5v4. And they spent so much killing Arteezy, but he still did a lot of damage with the Radiance Burn, the Riptide, and then came in, got 2 kills when he respawned.
Yep.
So Liquid, the question was, what do they do with the Aegis? Answer is basically nothing, and that's a big concern.
Yeah, take a very long team fight that starts in the top and ends in the mid. Timbersaw did also pick up Boots of Travel, as we saw demonstrated in that fight. It allowed Universe to get back a little bit more quickly during that kind of second engage when Arteezy was back in the mix. So that did help turn the tides a little bit. Double BOTs on the side of SADBOYS, which, needless to say, makes them much more mobile about the map. And speaking of Arteezy's farm, he's now got the Manta style complete and another Blade of Alacrity. So as you mentioned, LD, that Diffusal Blade will be inbound. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Zai in some trouble. He will get silenced. Oh, using the fog to his advantage, trying to stay close to that Enchantress to prevent the impetus from finishing him off. Unfortunately, will not be successful. In comes Fear, does have the ultimate, throws it out onto Bulba, and they will pursue. Bulba's ultimate is actually off cooldown, but of course silenced via the Doom ulti. Chakram off the mark, but not to worry, they secure the kill.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, they tried to gank Arteezy, but he's just not an easy kill, and now he's going to turn around on them.
Here's the setup. The team is inbound. Universe looking for a setup with that Chakram, and there it is. Oh, Venomancer going to get dropped like he's hot to start off the fight. TC will pop the BKB and stand his ground. Fluff on the backside trying to solo Arteezy. It's not going to be successful as now Arteezy's the aggressor as Fear joins him in battle. TC's BKB is now off. Dragon Knight could be in some trouble here. He will just try and pour it out. And, oh, it'll cost Arteezy his life as that one last Breathe Fire, enough to finish him off. Still a 1-for-3 exchange.
Big stomps from Quakefa. Got a 2-hero stomp, then immediately got another 2-hero stomp once it cooled down, and they get Arteezy again. He's still, though, even if he dies a lot, he's still going to be the leader in farm, sitting at Diffusal Blade nearly complete now, and one more way to remove the Death Prophet Silence, as well as just a high DPS item. If also heroes like Elder Titan, Dragon Knight don't have the best mana pools, and if they don't have mana, they really fall off in effectiveness in team fights. So, Diffusal Blade's going to be very useful this game. And
yeah.
I really worry for Liquid.
Yeah, at this point, it's starting to look a little bit more grim. The gold graph finally reflecting that huge lead that SADBOYS have picked up. Right around 10,000 gold lead, somewhere about 7,500 experience. And, of course, the momentum going the way of our Radiant team, carrying the Radiance. How appropriate. And Fear picking up some armor here.
Good one, buddy.
Oh, I know. It's early. The lame jokes are part and parcel with casting this early, LD.
I'm a bad influence. If you're
You are.
growing a taste for lame jokes, then
Yeah.
that's probably my fault. But
Oh,
now
yeah.
Quakefa,
Oh, no. Oh, no, Elder Titan. You were so young.
nice level death. He was about to get the stomp off.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have mattered anyway, but just insult to injury.
Yeah.
And Arteezy, he's farming his own woods, he's farming bottom lane, and, oh, by the way, he's also farming mid. So.
Arteezy farming?
Yes.
What?
Never.
What? Oh, boy.
I like how SADBOYS are kind of drafting around him because, I mean, he's not a bad tempo control solo mid, but he really excels in more of that, like, traditional snowball, carry, Mushi style solo mid. And he's been doing a great job. So
Yeah.
getting space, they're not putting him on like a Dragon Knight or something, which we've seen teams have done for, Mushi, or we see Navi do that for Denny occasionally. And he doesn't do poorly, but
Yeah.
this kind of playstyle just suits them much better. So I like how SADBOYS is drafting to Arteezy's strengths and playing to his strengths rather than, forcing him into another role because they have a certain strategy they want to run.
Right. Universe now with a Blink Dagger on that Timbersaw, also level 16, so that Chakram will be that much more effective. This is that point where Liquid are really feeling the pressure as the tower count is now 6-3 in favor of SADBOYS. So the team that isn't traditionally known as the heavy pushing lineup has the pushing advantage. So what can Liquid do from here? Venomancer working on a Force Staff, now a Rod of Owie up on Bulba, so he does have a little more tank ability and does have that cripple. Step in the right direction, perhaps. Enchantress working towards an Ags, but still about halfway there. And Quakefa doesn't have much to his name either. Now has drums and an Ogre Club. TC, he's been able to pick up a Helm of the Dominator. The item progression just isn't there for Liquid.
Yeah, they do have level 3 Dragon Form, which it gives you a bit of AoE against the illusions, but if they're being microed properly, they're never going to clump up. So I guess for Liquid at this point, they kind of rely on things like Enchant, as they do smoke, and they find PPD.
Yeah,
But
PPD does have a Force Staff in tow. He will scoot away.
They're desperate for this kill. They even popped a drum charge
boy.
for it, and
There's the cripple.
there you go.
So that's a dead Crystal Maiden. Baby steps, I suppose. Liquid will take anything they can find at this point, but not a very high-value target.
Yeah, but they're just not good against Rat Dota once it gets going. Though there's Boots of Travel in Universe. He's also split pushing a lot. We've seen a little bit of it from the Doom, and obviously a lot of it from Arteezy. And Liquid killing Enchantress, but everyone else is farming, and now they're pushed all the way back to their base. And here comes Arteezy, pops the illusions.
And there's a nice silence coming out from Bulba. He will burn the ultimate straight away. And where are they going to go? Illusion's going to the high ground. Arteezy actually taking a lot of damage here. That's a dead Naga to start off this fight. Well played by Bulba with the silence and the ultimate. Unfortunately, it will cost him his own. As the Doom ultimate comes out, he'll tick down. Elder Titan gets picked off in the fray. It ends up being a 1 for 2, but they get the kill on that high-value target, Mr. Arteezy himself. Gale will be off the mark. Zai needs to be a bit careful here. Does have a BKB up. Also used the Fiend's Grip in that last fight. As they come up the hill, will take a Dragon Tail to the face as they secure that kill. But it gets turned around on the Venomancer as well as the Enchantress. Now TC, the lone warrior on Team Liquid. He still has Elder Dragon form going, but fear, he hasn't much fear in the world. He pops the Shivas, and he will force the Dragon Knight to about face. Long-range Chakram off the mark, but they still repel the Dragon Knight.
Well, that looked like it might go poorly for SADBOYS, losing Naga right away, and Arteezy needs to reserve Manta Style for after the Death Prophet silence comes out. He keeps on Manting, getting silence, and he's not purging himself either, so he's just silenced for the whole fight and not having a good time. But the good news is that they still win the fight anyway, because they have a farm Doom, they have a farm Timbersaw,
Yeah.
and yeah, when you lose your one position Naga, who's sitting at 20k net worth, and you still easily win the team fight, you're in really good shape.
Yeah. And honestly, it's not so surprising seeing that on the net worth chart, 3 members of SADBOYS are topping that chart, and Naga effectively doubling the leading farmers of Liquid. Doom not quite at that 2x mark, but still in great shape. Even Timbersaw, his farm not too shabby. He is ahead of the Death Prophet on the side of Liquid, and he's going to add insult to injury as well with now a level 2 Dagon.
Here comes Crystal Maiden, bottom lane, looking for Bulba.
Oh, Bulba, my friend, you are in some trouble. He does Yules himself to buy himself a little bit of time. The silence comes out. There's the Manta, and that's a dead Death Prophet.
Yeah, if he just reserves Manta for the Death Prophet silence, then the fights get even easier for them. So we see it there, and he's almost got heart now.
Yeah,
like it's not like he's had a flawless game either. He's died 3 times, which, considering Liquid aren't a very good ganking lineup, is a lot, actually. And more than what he normally dies on this Naga, but doesn't matter. They're still winning.
And knowing Death Prophet is in the grave, SADBOYS will feel very safe moving into the Roche pit. There is now a Ghost Scepter up on Bulba, so that will help a little bit in these team fights. Arteezy won't be able to right-click him down, but still that Radiance Burn and various other bits of magical damage.
On Universe, but they don't get anybody else.
So Roche, very low. Liquid, they want to contest this. They know handing over an Aegis is not something they want to do, but no choice. Naga Siren comes out from the low ground, way too, the only one that gets caught. And needless to say, they'll secure this kill. Or will they? A beautiful force staff to the low ground. Oh, he deserves an A for effort there, but way too will still fall.
Yeah. I don't know what Liquid was doing sticking around, and they will blink in mid on the Koikfa, but either you're contesting the Roche or you're not, and they were literally just farming the wave mid while SADBOYS Roche. Like, what do you think's going to happen after the Roche is over? At this point, this game got hard for them much earlier on, and now they're going on bottom.
Yeah, Freezing Field comes out, and a Yules to interrupt it. Good way to start off this fight. Bane with a BKB on will use the Fiend's Grip on Bulba. The Exorcism's out, but they'll be able to lock him down and secure the kill. Universe does fall, but he is the Aegis carrier, so not too bad for SADBOYS. Looking grim for Liquid, though. Fluff trying to defend this tower with everything he's got, but it won't be much.
They just needed a better start. Liquid really needed to take more towers early with the Death Prophet ult as Koikfa gets cleaned up, and the lone survivor, way too, back to the well with him. But they didn't have... If they want to give Arteezy farm, then they need to draft a lineup that's on the Naga, then they need to draft a lineup that can punish it better, or they need to execute better in the laning stage. So maybe you go like a TC Lifestealer, run a Koikfa Storm. They used to do that a lot. Or you just ban Naga, or you have to execute the push strat better. So
yeah.
Liquid's got to make an adjustment. They know they knew what was coming. They know how Arteezy plays Naga. They know how the strategy works. They didn't have a good enough start to shut him down.
Yeah, and Arteezy
played it pretty well, but yeah. I actually feel like that overall it was just a team effort from SADBOYS. Fear had a few questionable dooms, but his overall he's putting a lot of pressure on the map. I liked his item selections a lot. And they were winning the game 4v5 when Arteezy was farming, so as much as he's sitting here with the most net worth, the team deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah. We'll call those zoning dooms. He had a couple,
Yeah.
didn't translate to kills, but still put some pressure on
And
nonetheless.
he didn't waste Doom like when their lives were on the line. Like when he
Right.
wasted Doom, it's like, well, they weren't going to team fight anyway, probably. So it's just a little unfortunate.
SADBOYS, though, looking fierce. The team that has a lot to prove, and they're well on their way to the grand finals. One match from securing that spot through the winners bracket.
Yeah, I thought SADBOYS looked a bit stronger. They took down Speed 2-0, which was the main thing that was impressive, but
Yeah.
Liquid took down Empire 2-1, and I feel these teams are still pretty evenly matched, but a lot of it just comes down to the strategy and execution in the first few minutes. And Liquid, if they have a better start, I can see them taking it.
Prediction now, Naga, first or second banned by Liquid.
Yeah, I think they'll ban it. if they don't ban it, they will draft something different. Maybe Quake for Storm and TC Lifestealer.
Yep. So, guys, Game 2 of this best-of-3 series on the way. You're watching the ESP Shock Therapy Cup, Wards, and HUD available via that ticket. It's in the store for $8. Tournament almost done, but if you want to watch on the client, that is your golden ticket, quite literally. We'll be right back, guys.
There you go.